Hi, I'm Jason Wood, your host of the Armed and Ready podcast, The VA Loan Guy. Today we are joined by Navy veteran John Naseda, who's a multiple franchise owner and spent 22 years in the Navy. Come check it out. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Armed and Ready podcast. Today we're joined by Navy veteran John Naseda, 22 years in the Navy. Super excited to hear about his career and what he's up to nowadays. So, John, thanks so much for being part of the show today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, tell us a little bit. You know, you're in San Diego now, so you ended up here at the end of your Navy career. But how did you get into the Navy? Like, what was that switch that flipped? You're like, yeah, I'm going to join the military, or I'm going to go Navy, or was it something you always desired to do? Or tell us about that a little.
It's actually funny. I could tell you that I barely passed high school. So, I actually didn't know I was going to graduate until the night before the graduation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I think I was missing some homework or whatever, but I tried to get my cap and gown and got in the line, and they said, "No, you're not graduating. Your name's not on the list."
Oh, no.
So, yeah, I think my guidance counselor lived close to us, so he approached my mom, and he said, "Hey, I think your son can graduate if he has these homework." So I think she found it somewhere, and um, we were told that I was going to graduate. So it was
Nice.
kind of, but at that time I was only 17 because we came from the Philippines, and I didn't really go to the 7th and 8th grade.
Okay.
So there was no middle school in the Philippines. So
Gotcha.
I was still, I think, 16 when I was already a senior. So I wasn't
Oh, you're
really
young then,
quite ready to graduate high school. But, I did graduate, and didn't know what to do after that. And we were hanging out at the mall, and I said maybe I should join the Air Force. Actually, I wanted to join the Air Force.
Hoorah. There we go. All right.
But we wanted to. I wanted to be a pilot, but obviously didn't know anything about getting your college degree and all that before you could become a pilot. So, took the ASVAB. My ASVAB was, I think it was like 32. So I couldn't even get into the Navy or the Air Force. So I took the ASVAB. This Air Force recruiter said, "You know what? We can't get you in." Right. So I said, "Okay." Well, so I just walked out. It's a recruiting station.
Okay.
And there was this Navy recruiter was standing there right outside, and he was smoking, and he said, "Hey, buddy, what are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I'll try to get in the Air Force." And they said, "I'm not good enough. My ASVAB was 32. I think the lowest back then was 37 or something."
Oh, geez.
But so he said, "Come on, let me take you in." Looked at it. He talked to his supervisor and said, "Yeah, let's get him in." I don't know. They gave me a waiver or something.
Okay.
So they said, "Okay, well, we'll get you in, but what you'll do in the Navy is, paint the side of the ship and pots and pans." Okay, sign me up. I just want to get out of here. So long story short, I think they gave me a waiver. My English was this much. And so I went to boot camp. They gave me, a couple of weeks of like an ESL type of
Gotcha.
class,
Right.
but I got through it, and they sent me to Norfolk, Virginia for my first ship. It was an amphibious ship.
Okay.
So spend my time there.
Nice. What was your first job in the Navy?
So they call it a deck seaman. So that's what I did. I just painted the side of the ships, and actually got to drive the ship as well
Cool.
as a helmsman, lookout, all that. So
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, 22 years, probably got to see some pretty cool places, I imagine.
yeah, I was stationed on both coasts, stationed overseas. Um, been on warships and a patrol reconnaissance squadron in Washington State.
Ooh, okay.
So we were hunting submarines there, and and then
Like
short
drug
tours.
runner type submarines or
No,
like Russian submarines?
Russian submarines.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were deployed in the Fifth Fleet.
I see. Nice. What any stark differences between kind of the reconnaissance job and working on the battleship job, or?
Well, you get to do a lot on the ship. Um, you know, on my previous duties on the ship, although I was a personal specialist, you have your collateral duties.
Right.
So I was a damage control training team when I was a chief, and then anti-terrorism watch officer. So you do all kinds of cool stuff,
Yeah.
even though you have your I think you guys call it MOS in your side, but
Yeah.
we call them our rating in the Navy.
Gotcha. That's really cool. So, both coasts. What was a kind of your favorite place you got deployed to, or got to stop while you're on the ship?
Oh, wow. It's everywhere. I mean, my first deployment was in Mediterranean, so that was
Ooh.
cool.
Yeah.
A 17-year-old, getting to see the places in Europe. That
Yeah.
was always fun.
Greece and all that
Oh yeah,
stuff. Oh wow.
Malta.
That's really cool. So, um, fast forward 22 years, finally decide 20 plus is enough, right?
Yeah. So towards the end of my career, my last duty station was I became a recruiter.
Okay.
So I recruited doctors and dentists and nurses, and so that was fun. That was really fun because you get to see, the folks that you recruited, um, and have them wear the uniform.
Yeah.
That was very exciting.
Are you recruiting them like right out of school, or are they already in their profession usually when you're recruiting those
Um,
guys?
it's a mix.
Mix?
Some are just right after med school or dental school.
Okay.
So our pitch is, hey, we'll pay for your your loan if you sign up for so many years, and yeah, we write off your school loan, and you obligate for maybe 4 years to 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a bad gig. I've done a few VA loans for some different, military docs,
Yeah,
and yeah, they do all right. They do all right in the
they do. They
military.
do. Oh yeah, and then they have their bonuses. Sign-in bonuses. That at the time when I was recruiting, that was one of our selling point is, hey, you get the bonus, and also we pay for any of your school loans.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, the mountain of debt that some of these guys come out with from
Oh
med
yeah,
school and dental
yeah,
school. Holy moly.
yeah.
It's
My
crazy.
son just got accepted to UCLA Dental School, and he'll start this fall. And being a veteran, we're able to take advantage of the CalVet program.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a big deal. That's going to save him a
Quite a
lot
bit
of
of money.
heartache. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to save him a lot of
Yeah,
heartache. Well, congrats on him going to dental school too.
yeah.
That's
Thank you.
exciting.
Yeah.
Super cool. So tell us about your transition. You decided to get out
hmm
and transition to the civilian life. What was that like? Did you know when you're getting out what you wanted to do? Or was it kind of like, I'm retiring, we'll figure it out later kind of deal, or what?
Well, I mean, again, the my last tour was a recruiter, so really didn't want to. I've always wanted business. My degrees in business management. So I've always wanted to own my business, and my last duty station, which was we had an office in Mira Mesa here in San Diego, and I wanted to stay in the recruiting side, and I looked up and I found this office called Express Employment Professionals,
Okay.
which is the agency that I own now.
Okay.
Um, and I didn't know they were a franchise.
Oh,
So
okay.
I looked up. I'm like, oh, I think I want to keep doing, keep recruiting, and that's how I kind of transitioned to that. But I wasn't really looking into that. My first thought was to save up some money, to see what what I can save up, and go into whatever business I would do. But thank God my wife was like, don't wait, let's just start.
Yeah.
So
Good advice.
we cleaned up our 401k, not knowing what we were gonna get into. But just blind faith. Said let's go, um, and I got into the staffing industry.
That's cool. Interesting. I think that recruiting position in the military is a great stepping stone for business in the civilian
Right,
world.
right.
It really is. I mean, you learn so much.
hmm
I mean, not only how to talk to people, how to sell to
Right.
people,
Right.
right? And really how to like kind of grind in more of a business aspect,
Yeah.
right? Like recruiters, they work pretty hard.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's not an easy job.
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, I was on the officer side of recruiting, but the enlisted, it's grueling. I saw them, 5:30 in the morning trying to get their recruits up to MEPS and get their medical.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's grueling on the enlisted side. I know.
Yeah. It's a tough gig, but it's great. I mean, it really, if anybody's listening to this and they get a
Yeah,
shot to get a recruiting, I mean, don't look at it as a negative thing. I mean, you never know where you'll end up
right,
after the military. And to
exactly.
have that experience behind you, it really pays a lot. I've seen some and know some people that were in recruiting and have been really successful
Yeah,
in business after the fact.
right.
And a lot of it was from what they learned, and a lot of them had recruiting as kind of their last gig, right? And they do awesome. They
Yeah,
do really
yeah.
good. Um, so now you've owned this franchise. How long have you owned it now?
So I started in 2015,
Okay,
um, and we've grown since. I have two agencies now, and one in Chula Vista and one in El Cajon.
okay. So are you staffing for the medical industry, or are you staffing for all sorts of industries?
No, funny actually, I don't have the license to staff for medical
Oh, no
right
kidding.
now, not right now. But we have aerospace, uh, a lot of different industries, packaging, logistics. Um, yeah, so we're pretty much in every space. The only thing that we really don't touch are those roofing companies because those are uh, high risk
Yeah.
for our associates. Yeah.
So, if people come to you, do they come to you and do you guys give them, kind of guidance? Like if they're not ready for whatever type of career they're seeking, you guys give them guidance like, hey, you need to get this training or certification or
Right.
help with your resume, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we help them. Well, we call them profiles,
Okay.
and to a certain extent, we would help them do their resume and kind of create it. And majority of the folks that come to our office, they don't necessarily know how to create a resume, so we
Sure.
do assist them and help them get there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit of a skill just by itself, just
Right,
the resume
right,
piece, right?
right.
Do you work with a lot of like prior service folks? Do you get
We
many in
do,
there?
we do, and I try to network with a lot of VA companies that are owned by veterans, and
Right.
you know, uh, and try to see if we can help them,
Yeah.
especially in the aerospace industry that I'm in.
Well, it's good here. There's a couple different aerospace companies here that are awesome to work for.
Oh yeah,
Great jobs,
yeah,
really great jobs. Um, I know, for military folks, that resume piece is super important, right?
right.
Because, the things that you do in the military, it's not a direct translation to the civilian world,
No,
with some rare exception, right? But, if you're teaching guys how to launch mortars or, drive a submarine, that's not necessarily something that you're going to go do in the civilian world, right?
yeah,
So, but the inherent skill set that you learn there is transferable. So, and I don't know today, I don't think, when I was in, the military did much of a job at teaching that.
hmm
But that's definitely an area where you can help people and understand like
yeah,
you're doing this stuff in the military. Here's how it translates to
right.
civilian language, basically. Right.
And what's funny is that, and not funny, but the military has been doing a great job on translating, you know, um, what we do in the military to the civilian side.
That's
So,
good.
when you go to those, I think what they call them tap classes,
Yeah.
they definitely help you out. So, and I've met, some veterans with those, and they clearly state what they do and what their capabilities are, and the civilian sector sees it clearly.
That's really cool. So what are you forecasting now? I mean, we're in the San Diego area, pretty diverse economy, right? I
Right,
mean, there's a lot of different industry here
right.
for guys to get into. Aerospace is a big one for you. What do you forecast, in the next year? You think we're still gonna have a good demand for jobs for people?
Oh, it's getting crazy right now.
Is it?
Yeah. So I know businesses are starting to open up, especially in the restaurant industry.
Yeah,
Uh, you
thankfully.
know, and but a lot of them that I see right now is the logistics industry.
Oh, okay.
Obviously Amazon is dominating that space.
They are, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we get a lot of calls from from different companies needing warehouse for assembly, forklift drivers. So logistics is there. I mean, it's that's for sure. Is happening right now.
Yeah, we're in a big area, so I got to imagine, Amazon's a big deal
Yeah.
here, right?
Yes.
Um, and even probably some of the upper level jobs. You probably get some
Mhm.
officers transferring out, and there's those different. And I'm correct, you probably know better than I do in the logistics game, but like Sigma 6 and
Hmm.
those different kind of certifications that can
Right.
really catapult a career in that field, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And Amazon, I believe they have their own department just looking for veterans. Just you know, I mean, it's good that they have that and opening up the doors for them.
It's great. Are you
Yeah.
linked up with like local universities and junior colleges and things of that nature in the San Diego
We
area
do,
too?
we do. We partner with the down south, the Southwestern College, and they always invite us when there's a job fair. And Concord College. I say Concord because I also own a home care agency, so we get
Okay,
our caregivers from that end. So
gotcha.
they really help us out a lot.
So tell us a little bit about that. I didn't know you had another business. So
Yeah, it's called Synergy Home Care. It's also a franchise. I
gotcha.
love franchising because us being in the military, we just want that SOP, right?
Right.
Just follow the standard operating procedures, and the recipe is there for success.
Totally.
You just follow. I love following systems, so I don't have to recreate the wheels. So yeah, Synergy Home Care. It's also a franchise.
Okay.
So we service most of the coastal residents in San Diego, and we help seniors, and we also take care of we do childcare as well.
Okay. So
Yeah,
in-home childcare
in-home
or
childcare.
elderly care
Correct.
type thing. Oh, that's really needed right now,
Yes,
especially the
yes.
baby boomer generation is
Oh yeah,
aging, and so that demand's got to be pretty high, I would imagine here, right?
exactly. And a lot of seniors nowadays they just want to stay home. They don't want to, be placed in a assisted living and just be, you know, in one room.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, I can imagine it probably feels a little bit like you're losing your freedom some,
Exactly.
you know. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
Um, tell us a little bit about. I mean, you're in two different franchises now, right? So tell us about franchising a little bit. Like I've always heard about it. I know diddly about it. But tell us about franchising. Like, what does it take? How do you find the right one? You gotta have a bunch of cash or experience, or how's it work?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of brokers out there that are representing franchises. So they do, they have programs where they would interview you and see if the franchising or whatever that industry is a right fit. Um, so I'm not a broker, so I know there's a process. With me, it was kind of different. I just went in and I wanted to do recruiting, so I found Express Employment Professional. But every franchises have their what they call Discovery Day.
Okay.
So you'll put in an application. You tell them they'll ask for your net worth and your background, uh, and so there are great franchises there that would just take your money and say, okay, now you could be a Baskin Robbins franchise owner. Do you know how to scoop ice cream?
Right.
Right. So it's they have their process.
Okay.
So yeah, so they have different ways of filtering their candidates.
Okay. What was your experience going through, kind of that application and that screening process? Um, they are they I guess what I'm trying to get at is, for the guy that's or gal that's, coming out of the military and thinking, oh, maybe I'd be a franchise owner of such and such kind of business.
Right.
What should they be prepared for? What should they know ahead of time going into that process?
Um, I would say, um, find. I mean, first of all, entrepreneurship, right? I mean, just because it's franchising doesn't mean that they'll hold your hand from. I mean, they obviously they want to hold your hand from day one,
Right.
but
But it's
it's
your
owning it. It's
business.
your business.
Yeah.
It's and I always, the new folks that come into the business world, if I'm lucky enough to get to sit with them. I say, look, it's just like basketball, right? If you know anything about basketball, um, you have a 24-second shot clock, right? And that's your capital. You got to get to break even before that shot clock, comes to zero.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're done. Everything that you have, putting into this business, you know, you got to get sales done. You got to get your clients. With no clients, there's no money.
Right.
So, yeah, you got to be ready for that. I mean, it's we always say that it is a gamble, but hey, I would bet on myself all day, every day.
Yeah. Well, I would hope
So
most people would, right?
exactly, but some people just have that false narrative where I'm going to be my own boss. It's actually different, and now you have to answer to yourself, and there's
Yeah.
still more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not as kick back as your
Yeah.
dreams might allude you to be,
Yeah.
right? It's working Saturdays and Sundays and late at night, and you know making sure payroll gets
Exactly.
done before you get paid, and
Yeah.
so there's those sacrifices
Yeah.
too.
If you know what day it is, you're not busy enough. That's what I tell them.
That's good
Yeah,
advice. So how is it running too? I mean, are you kind of at the point where you're just kind of like in an ownership oversee position, or are you still hands on with both businesses?
yeah. I'd like to be hands on, but thank God, military has taught us leadership, right? And
Right.
that's what I can always count on. I do have branch managers and operations manager in each of
Doing the
my
day-to-day
exactly,
operational
and
stuff.
I just try to apply what I have learned in the Navy, where I have end of day reports where I could look at what happened with this office and that office and the other office. So pretty much, you just kind of see where you are, looking at your reports and um, just being the biggest cheerleader of them all too. So
It's good.
you got to be there.
Yeah. Is there anything you remember from like your time in service, from like a past leader, a mentor that you apply today in your businesses?
Yeah, I had this captain. I cannot remember his name, but he was always tough. He was always tough, but one thing I remember is that he did it in reverse as far as trust. He said, "Look, I'll trust you for. I don't know you. I don't. Sometimes I don't even remember your first name, but I'll trust. I'll hand you the keys. I'll trust you first until you can prove that I can't trust you any longer. And then I'll take back the keys from you." So that's one thing I kind of learned
Yeah.
is that, um, a lot of people, hey, you have to earn my trust first before I, let you do anything
Sure.
in business, which is understandable. But I try to, uh, you know, change that and say, hey, look, I like to trust people, until obviously they prove you that they cannot be trusted.
Yeah, for
Then
sure.
then it's time to change hand with another person.
Yeah. No, that's really sage advice, and it's amazing how some of those things, those experiences follow you, into what you're doing later in life, right?
Yes.
So I think that's a really cool lesson to have shared with everybody. Um so we got two franchises. Are you going for the trifecta? Are you going for a third?
I'll try to go as big as I can. When I set out back in 2015, I said I will grow my portfolio every 2 years. So
Nice.
15, I had my first office. 17, I opened my first home care agency. In 2019 is my second staffing agency. So maybe I'm due for another one this year.
So you got to hold yourself accountable, right? It's
Yes,
it's
yes,
it's
definitely.
2021.
2021.
Time for the next one.
It's going to be a great year for everyone.
Well, I think it's really cool to hear your story because I think there's a lot of mentorship just in hearing your story and what you've done
Yeah.
and what you've accomplished. Your success is awesome. And I think it's just cool to see, here's someone who's done it, you
Yeah.
know, and wasn't some mega millionaire coming out of the Navy,
Right.
just had some blind faith and went after it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really awesome, man. So thanks
Thank
for
you.
sharing your story.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, as I conclude here with our episode, I always like to ask, you know, in the theme of the Armed and Ready podcast, to you, what does armed and ready mean?
Well, I mean, just like what we've learned in the military, you don't go out there with no bullets. So you always try to be ready when the opportunity knocks. Right? You never know when it's gonna knock, so you have to be ready to open the door, and just to take it, what comes, and just go after it. Go as fast as you can, so if you're going the wrong way.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, when opportunity knocks. Well, John, thank you so much. I really appreciate you cutting out
Thank
some
you for
time,
having me.
sharing your story with us, man. It's been awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode with John Naseda. If you'd like to get in touch with him or have other questions related to employment, franchising, or any of that great stuff, please feel free to reach out to me at valoanguy.us.